Hey YouTube, it's ICU, and today I'm going to be reviewing and comparing Apple's all-new 4.7-inch flagship iPhone 6 against the phone's significantly larger counterpart, the 5.5-inch iPhone 6 Plus. To preface, if you happen to miss my previous coverage on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, check out my channel or the annotations on the screen now if you're on the desktop version of YouTube. Also, stick around to the end of this video for instructions on how to enter to win my free iPhone 6 giveaway. Now, without any further ado, to start, there are a lot of similarities between these phones, including their second generation 64-bit A8 chip and M8 Motion coprocessor. I'll get back to those later though. Touch ID for securely unlocking and interfacing with apps that are built with iOS 8's new Touch ID API. Keep in mind though, none of the apps have access to any of the fingerprint data that's both encrypted and stored locally on a part of the A8 chip called the Secure Enclave. They'll both support NFC-based Apple Pay when it launches next month. They're offered in the same capacities, being 16, 64, or 128 gigabytes, though the 6 Plus will run you an extra $100 over the 6 for the corresponding configurations. The design is virtually identical aside from the massive size increase and the minute thickness increase on the 6 Plus. Both have Touch ID enabled home buttons on the front. Directly below that, on the bottom from left to right, we have the headphone jack port, microphone, lightning connector port for data transfers and charging, as well as the speaker grill. Over on the right hand side, we have the power and lock button, which previously on all iPhone models was situated on the top. Now instead, where it would have been from the original iPhone to the iPhone 5S, we have nothing. Over on the left hand side of the device, you'll find the volume rocker accompanied by the mute toggle switch. Also, the front facing FaceTime HD cameras are identical, though they do capture 81% more light than their predecessor. And the rear facing 8 megapixel iSight cameras are mostly the same, and you won't be able to distinguish between shots taken on the 6 or the 6 Plus, though they will differ when it comes to autofocus with Apple's new focus pixel technology, and even more significantly when it comes to the 6 Plus's exclusive optical image stabilization capabilities. For more on the camera, I created an in-depth comparison that I highly recommend watching. It can be found on my channel or again on the annotation that's on the screen now if you're on the desktop version of YouTube. Aside from the glaringly obvious size difference and the significantly less noticeable 0.01 inch or 0.2 millimeter increase in thickness from the 6 to the 6 Plus, seriously, you won't even notice it. There are a few that are definitely there, and they may very well play into your decision prior to purchasing either of these smartphones. Let's start by discussing the size, which is ultimately what it will come down to, because if you can handle it, the 6 Plus is, for the most part, the better phone on paper. First up, we have the pocket test. I usually wear relatively tight jeans, and the 6 Plus seems to fit perfectly. I have no issues with it. It's a little uncomfortable and awkward at first, but I quickly became accustomed to it. In fact, I'm so used to it that I barely notice when the iPhone 6 is in my pocket, as it's much less noticeable. Typing on the iPhone 6 feels mostly like typing on the 5S, as the two are close to the same width. One-handed typing is just as easy. As for the 6 Plus, navigation and typing are a breeze without so much as a learning curve. I was able to pick up the iPhone 6 Plus and start using it immediately. I found that typing is fluid and fast. At least for me, two-handed typing seems to be easier and more comfortable than on the smaller 5S, which is what I'm coming from owning previously, as there's more room to hold the device. Now, one-handed typing is a bit harder, but it is possible when adjusting the grip. Back to the navigation aspect of things though, I found that it's still very simple, especially when using assistive touch, which can emulate the home button, enabling the user to hold the iPhone toward the middle of the display while still having access to the button and simultaneously allowing for a greater range of on-screen control. Again, the same applies for typing. That's why I was able to type with one hand earlier after adjusting my grip. They both support what Apple calls reachability as well, where the entire display slides down, making it easier to access the top. But I found that by simply using assistive touch and holding the 6 Plus in the middle, it's not needed, and it appears as though neither are on the iPhone 6. Now, if the iPhone 6 Plus were just a bigger phone, I may have opted to use the iPhone 6 as my primary device, but that's not the case. The 6 Plus has several things working in its favor, most notably battery life. Across the board, the iPhone 6 Plus touts improved battery life over the 6 and is comparable to that of the full-sized iPad when connected and browsing over Wi-Fi. I found that I'm almost always able to get through the entire day without charging halfway through, like I always had to do with the iPhone iPhone 5S. But the iPhone 6 doesn't quite make it all the way. In fact, the 6 Plus is so good that recent benchmarks show that it outperforms almost all flagship Android phones, and a lot of it has to do with the optimizations Apple has made to the A8 processor, which I'll get to soon. Next, beyond battery life, there's the higher pixel density and resolution for that matter. The 6 Plus has a 1920 by 1080 display at 401 pixels per inch or PPI, compared to a 1334 by 750 display at 326 PPI, so we have a significantly higher pixel density on the 6 Plus. Both phones are sRGB with dual domain pixels, meaning color representation is as close to accurate as it can be, there's no distortion or oversaturation, and the viewing angles have been increased drastically. Also, in light of the 1080 display, movies simply look better on the 6 Plus, games feel richer, and the overall experience is more immersive. It's interesting because I've never enjoyed larger size phones in the past, and I've used my fair share, mostly Samsung's Note series, and a lot of that has to do with iOS and the design of the phone. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing bad about the Note phones or larger Android-based smartphones, but there's something about an iPhone that you can't truly appreciate until you use one for an extended period of time, and the 6 and 6 Plus are no exception. They're honestly Apple's best smartphones yet. Onto the camera, as mentioned before, they're both great, pictures are incredible, and Apple's focus pixel technology really works. The cameras focus faster than any I've ever seen on a smartphone. The 6 Plus, however, features what's called optical image stabilization that further reduces excess motion and makes shots look smoother. I really recommend watching my video dedicated to just the cameras if you have yet to. Finally, for the 4 major differences, we have apps. Apple's made a big deal about the bigger screen on the 6 Plus. In addition to having a landscape view on the home screen that's exclusive to the 6 Plus, which will definitely extend to the 6 when there's a jailbreak, a lot of stock apps will utilize more of the display when in landscape mode. As you can see in the App Store, we have 2 apps per line on the 6 Plus, whereas the 6 can't flip into landscape. No iPhone can in the App Store, save the 6 Plus. Even in portrait mode, the larger display on the 6 Plus allows for an extra app row, extending it from 6 to 7. Notes, stocks, weather, and other apps also have improved landscape modes, but that's not all. Apple is really pushing for developers to add dual columns to their third-party apps, and while CNN has proved that it is possible to do so on the iPhone 6 in addition to the 6 Plus, the latter of the two will benefit the most from the gigantic display. Also, while Apple has built what they're calling a quote desktop class scaler into iOS 8 for the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, apps that aren't updated look stretched and somewhat blown up, but not necessarily pixelated, just odd. And it's not too big of a deal, as developers will update their apps in the days and weeks to come. Also, one minor thing I found that when comparing the two via Geekbench, which is a benchmark tool that takes into account various performance aspects, the iPhone 6 actually scores slightly higher than the 6 Plus. Now this can likely be attributed to one of two things, or even both. First, the 6 Plus has a significantly higher pixel density, while also having a bigger display overall, causing more of the processor to be allocated to pushing the pixels to the display. Second, the battery life. Apple mentioned that a lot of the performance on both devices can be attributed to the CPU. It's certainly possible that Apple has made additional enhancements on the 6 Plus to achieve the device's battery life. They also use the same exact processor, but the 6 Plus has to work even harder with the bigger display. That being said, the difference is minor, and due to how iOS functions, said difference is trivial, as apps can't make full use of the system resources anyway, which also ties into the incredible real-world performance of both devices, even though they merely have 1 GB of RAM. In fact, the 6 and the 6 Plus easily beat all major Android smartphones at the moment for their Geekbench single-core scores, and most for the multi-core. But again, that's nowhere near as important as usability and fluidity in real-world situations. The 6 and 6 Plus seem to perform perfectly. Also, as a couple concluding notes, both cameras protrude slightly and extend beyond the rest of the housing, making it somewhat awkward without a case. That being said, it's nothing too significant and has allowed Apple to create the best designed iPhones yet. I'm a huge fan of how gorgeous the devices look with their fully rounded aluminum enclosures that curve up up to meet the rounded edges of the display cover. One thing that I'm not too keen on, however, is the repositioning the power and lock button on the 6 or the 6 Plus. Personally, I feel that I'm more inclined to mistakenly press it, and I wish Apple would have left it on the top. I can see why they moved it though, as most wouldn't be able to access it on the 6 Plus if it were on the top, but I would have preferred that the button have stayed in its original position. Other than that though, these two phones are incredible and you can't go wrong with either. In the end, I hope this video helped you in your decision on which iPhone 6 model to get, the standard or the 6 Plus. As always, thank you for watching, and to enter into my iPhone 6 giveaway, be sure to rate this video up, leave a relevant comment down below in the comment section, and download free AppLife by visiting bit.ly/getfreeapplife or simply freeapplife.com inside of mobile Safari. After hitting download, press the home button and open the app. If you're on iOS 8, download the temporary secure profile, which is strictly used for associating your device with its proper account in a more secure manner on the latest firmware. It's never even installed on your device, as it's immediately deleted once your account has been created or reassociated. After that, simply download sponsored apps for points and refer friends. Each download and each referral counts as one entry. Points from downloading sponsors can then be used for various prizes, including paid apps, gift cards, and electronic devices. Now that's it for this video. To be updated more often, such as when I cover various things like the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6 Plus, the forthcoming Apple Watch, and the next untethered iOS 8 jailbreak, just be sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and until next time, this is ICU signing out.